Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Today we are going to go through my setup for my budget planner for the month of March. So let's get into it. We are first going to start by looking at some of the changes I made to my cover for my planner, just to kind of let you guys know what is changing. I am using the cover from happyplanner, Work Plus Life. I love that cover. I'm also using the monthly from that planner as well. So that is the outside cover. The inside cover, I actually bought this big cover from Scrappy Wife. I love it. I've wanted this particular cover for a really long time, so it will probably stay on this planner even though I changed the outside covers. Not too much changes to the inside pages at all, you guys. Still have my annual section, which is really thick. I did upgrade my discs. I actually got these off Amazon. They are great. They are slightly larger than a happyplanner set of discs, but they are not quite 2 inches either. So I think it's just like 1.75 inches or 1.68. They've worked perfectly for this planner that's a little thicker, and now I can, you know, turn the pages smoothly, and I couldn't do that before. So okay, let us get into March. So one of the first things that I've adjusted for March is I am using the March dividers from happyplanner Work Life, and I'm really excited about that because it is dated and I don't have to go in and do my own dating. I have already decorated my March budget. This set came from Live Love Posh's budget book, and I am absolutely thrilled to use that book. So yeah, okay, let's talk about budget stuff though. So what I have done in my monthly is I go in and I write down all of the bills that are due for me during that month. That is how I use my monthly in my budget planner. It is the only layout in my budget planner that I really decorate, because why not? It, you know, doesn't hurt for it to look beautiful. But I primarily focus on bills that I have to pay and actions that I have to take. So like, for example, I have a vacation coming up in the middle of this month. So I have a couple of days in the beginning of the month where I'm going to be transferring money to my vacation fund. And so I need to make sure that I have those notated. Another big task for me for the month of March financially is I am finally making the complete transition to using my business account to pay for certain variable expenses, because they are business expenses. I've been talking about that from the beginning of the year. That just takes a little bit of time to kind of get set up, and you have to go in and do all the work of changing accounts over. And so I just gave myself to the end of the first quarter to get that done. And I'm happy to say that, you know, the end of March is the end of the first quarter, so that will be done by the end of March. But that means I have a couple of activities that I have spaced throughout here to make sure all of that happens this month. But that's generally how I use my monthly in my budget planner. I'm so excited that this is dated because it's just much easier on me. So in the Work Life Planner, one thing that I really like is that they have a monthly dashboard where you can basically list whatever you need to. And that is why, another reason I decided to go with the monthly from the Work Life Planner. Now, the budget inserts that I use are inserts I create and sell on my Etsy, and I print off for this planner. And that budget planner does have a monthly planner included. If you get that insert and you want to just set it all up so it all looks the same, you can definitely do that. Okay, so after the monthly and the monthly goals and reflection section, I always keep my word of the year page in that particular month, right in the front. And then I go into my monthly budget. So I have my monthly budget already set up for March. There's nothing I would say too random happening for me in March. Yeah, I have a really big carryover in March, and that's just because of the way my paydays fell. Like, my final payday in February just happened to be the last day of the month. I don't get paid like middle and last day. That's not how I get paid. I usually just get paid every 2 weeks. Not usually, I get paid every 2 weeks. So it just so happened that this fell like on the last day of the month, which means I have a ton of rollover into the next month, which I don't like because I like to do $0 budgeting, but that's okay. So that's pretty much the only thing that is a standout. I will say I still have a ton of expenses. I even have to use my additional expenses category a lot because I have so many business expenses. And so I cannot wait for the next quarter. Instead of having all these broken out, I should at that point be able to just have a certain amount that I'm transferring to my business account to pay for business expenses. And I'll just be happy when that day comes. That's about it. So I list my income, my bills, and then I list my expenses, and then I list my additional expenses. What I prefer to use additional expenses for is for things like my challenges, my savings, sinking funds, stuff like that. But I've been having to use it for business expenses. Okay, so after my monthly budget, I have this thing called a monthly cash flow in my budget inserts. The monthly cash flow is something that I desperately need. Everybody doesn't need it, but I do. I get income and payouts every week. So I like to see my cash flow coming and going every single week. I like to have a snapshot of that. Now, I don't like to do full out weekly budgeting, right? So, in other words, I don't like to do this every week. That's too much. I'll never keep up with it. But I have a little summary for the weeks, and that really helps me. So it's like a mini budget where I just kind of summarize my income. I list my expenses that are coming out that week and what type of savings or additional expenses I'm going to have for that particular week. And then I do a little mini budget of that. That's how that works. And so I have enough for the entire month. And this way, at any time during the month, I can just glance at this and say, yep, I have this coming out for this week. And this is how much money that's coming and going out of my account for that particular week. So I have my monthly cash flow there. Then I get into my actual week. So I have it set up with the first week already labeled, and I've actually already started listing some expenses that have come out. Not the complete expense entry yet, but some I just wanted to keep track of. Because again, I kind of got paid at an awkward time for me. So some bills just rolled over to this month and all that good stuff. And so I just wanted to keep track of what I was listing in this month versus what I paid like the 27th, the day before the end of the month in February. So, okay. But for the week, so this is the thing, guys. I use a digital envelope system. I've said this numerous times, and I will keep saying it because, I am encouraging people who don't use cash, which is a whole lot of people. Let's be real. How many people really are going to the bank, pulling out tons of cash? Come on now. So it's a lot more people out there that do their budgeting in a digital environment and do their transactions in a digital environment than there are using cash. So I always try to talk about my digital envelope system to encourage you to go ahead and budget and deal with your transactions and be engaged in your transactions the same way people who do cash envelopes are, because that's the benefit of cash envelopes. You know, I know that what I said before may sound dismissive, and I don't mean it to be. There are some very, very big benefits of doing a cash system. One of them is just the feel of having money in your hands, and it's so much more difficult to spend cash than it is to spend on a debit card. All those things go into having a successful cash budget, and they're great. And so I think sometimes you feel like if you don't want to do a cash budget, then you're kind of left out of the whole budgeting landscape. And so I talk about digital cash systems or digital envelope systems to let you know that you don't have to be left out of the landscape of budgeting just because you primarily use cash. You just don't. So anyway, off my soapbox, I use a digital envelope system. And what that means is my variable categories on the left act like envelopes. So if I was using a cash envelope system, I would have an envelope for all of these variable categories: grocery, personal, entertainment, transportation, eating out, any other category that I want. I would have an envelope for that. Since I use digital envelopes, I don't have an actual envelope, but I have this little box that represents the envelope. So I treat it the same way. For that week, I go in and I put how much money I would have in my envelope for that category. So grocery, 75, personal, 40, and so forth and so forth. In my accounts at my bank, I don't have 10 different variable accounts. I do not. I have one account that says variable funds. And each week, I deposit however much, I total this up, however much this is, that's how much I deposit in that account. And that becomes the only account I use for those particular categories. And if I run out, I run out. I mean, that's what it is. If I go over, sometimes, which I do, then I have to transfer money in there. And so that adds an extra step of complexity and headache. And so it kind of gives me that benefit of like doing the same thing with cash, except I'm doing it digital. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, the other parts of this sheet, I like to list the upcoming bills for that week. You see, I list this over and over, and that's because that's something I need to do, right? I am a little bit fanatic about staying on top of which bills are coming out of my account that particular week, that particular day, because I grew up in a household that was paycheck to paycheck, and we didn't have any cushions or anything like that. So if an unexpected bill came that you forgot or whatever, you were overdrawn, or you didn't have money to go get food or whatever that day because you forgot that check was coming through. That's how I grew up. So I have a little bit of anxiety over not being aware of what is coming out of my paycheck out of my account every single week. I know some people can just do it by month, and that's okay for them. I wish I was at that point, and eventually I will. That's a goal of mine. But right now I'm trying to fight those demons of being raised a certain way. And even though I make enough money not to live in that way, it is still a challenge not to think in that way, if that makes sense. But for now, I write down my bills multiple times, as you see in my budget. I also take time to do a little bit of a meal plan. Sometimes I stick to this and sometimes I don't. But meal planning for me is a huge part of budgeting. So having an idea of what I'm going to eat for the week does help me. And it does help me when I go into the grocery store. Because I will tell you, when I went to the grocery store, which I went to the grocery store a lot this week because I was getting over COVID and I hadn't been to the grocery store in a while. But I pretty much bought these items, or the items it's going to take for me to make these dishes. So it does give me guidance when I am in the store. I have an open space in every week so that I can write down any notes or anything like that that I need to remind myself of for that week. For me, like I said, I'm preparing for a trip. I'm preparing for a vacation. So I need to move money in and out of my travel funds. There are things I have to buy as I get prepared for the vacation. So I'm just kind of making note of that. And I have some savings challenges that I'm paying attention to. I am doing a no spend for this week, and that no spend is about planning supplies. If you watch my videos, you know I've done a couple of hauls over the past couple of weeks, which they're perfectly fine. Love them. I love everything that I bought. This sticker is actually from one of those sticker books that I bought, and I've used them already, so I'm very happy and satisfied with it. But I do need to stop for just a minute, okay? I don't need to buy any more planning supplies this week or next week because I bought my limit really for the spring, but got to take it 1 week at a time. So, okay. That is March, the first week of March in my budget planner. The other thing that I want to share as we set up the month is I have my bills and expenses customized sheet. This is a freebie. It is freely available, probably linked somewhere down below. But obviously it doesn't have any dates. You would write your own dates in there, and it doesn't have any bills. These are my bills. And so you would write your own stuff. But this layout is free. It is not a part of the budget planner because it's a customized page. But I keep that in every month so that when I'm setting up my weeklies and I set up my monthlies, I know what I'm supposed to be paying. And then I just have my blank weeks. I have my monthly category tracker, and then I have any challenges that I'm working on. So I'm working on my vacation savings challenge, travel budgeting, some debt reductions, savings challenge, and then I have some extra expense trackers that I put in there. This budget planner comes with a ton of trackers. I don't keep them in my active planner, my tracking pages. I have a insert planner where I just keep all my inserts separate from my active planner, and whenever I need a challenge page, I just grab it and I pop it in here. That way, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to use this planner. It would be like this thick because I have a ton of challenge pages as part of these inserts. So that is what it looks like for March. I want to do a very, very, very quick closeout of February. Not a major closeout or anything like that, but just looking at the end of February, which was the last week. For me, it went from February 24th through February 28th, which was a Friday. And yeah, I just made sure I had all my bills paid. I go through, make sure everything for the month has been paid on my monthly budget. I just make sure it has been paid and checked off. And so that's how I pretty much close out my month. And then I will go in, which I have not done for the last week. I'm filming this, I think, on the 1st. So I haven't done this for the last week in February. But I go in and I do all my category highlighting. And then I come in here and I put in that amount per category for the last week, total it up, and I will put that in my annual tracking section as I am tracking my categories. So that's what I still need to do to close out the month of February, and I will take care of that this weekend, and then on to March. So thanks so much for watching this video. Keep in mind, if you're interested in getting any of these budget inserts or this budget planner, they are linked down below in my Etsy store. And if you have any questions, leave a comment, like, share, and happy planning, you guys. and happy budgeting. So see you next video.